BBC World Service, I'm Claire Balderson with NewsHour. There are accusations today of serious abuses being committed by the security forces in Pakistan's Balochistan province. They come from Human Rights Watch, which has published a report focusing on political activists detained without charge. It says many are later killed, others are tortured, many disappear. According to the Asia director of Human Rights Watch, the security forces are engaging in an abusive free-for-all in Balochistan. It's a province in southwestern Pakistan bordering both Iran and Afghanistan. And it so happens that this is a story that Rebecca Kesby has been investigating for NewsHour for quite a while. So she told me more about what exactly is going on in Balochistan.
Well, there have been concerns for some time about the number of killings in Balochistan. Every week in the local papers there are reports of corpses dumped at the side of the road, more than 100 since January this year alone. And as the Human Rights Watch report indicates, there are also a number of missing people who have been detained but without trial or a lawyer or even their families knowing where they are.
Most people, of course, know about the Taliban insurgency in Pakistan. We hear about Al-Qaeda in Pakistan, but Balochistan, that's different, isn't it? It's separatist movements that go back decades.
That's right, and consecutive central governments of Pakistan have sought to contain any military action from Baloch militants, but human rights groups have also accused the authorities of illegal detentions and torture of Baloch political separatists. They say there's a dirty war underway and that the central government is using the excuse of their military crackdown on the Taliban and other Islamic extremists to attack any political opposition within Balochistan. And of course all of this is really difficult to verify because of the security situation in the mountainous border region of Pakistan. It's not easy for journalists to travel to that region. You need a special pass from the government, for example, to even go there. But I've been speaking to Munir Mengel, who wanted to set up a Baloch language television station in Quetta. He was detained back in 2006 and held without charge or trial for more than a year, and he told me he was subjected to torture.
They used to undress us, they undressed me, and by hanging the hands upside, and they brought a cobra snake. The feeling that when someone is nude and a cobra is, touching, wrapping, and you cannot think of those feelings. I was taken to the cell, which was 5-6 feet under the ground, completely dark room, 24 hours, eyes blindfolded, hands chained, once in a day allowed to go to the toilet.
This is police that have taken you here, or is this the military? Who has got you in their custody?
It was written on the door, military intelligentsia. But during the interrogation and all this time, MI, ISI and other sort of intelligence organizations, they combinedly interrogate.
And at any point did they actually arrest you for a crime?
No, I was not officially arrested, so I was a missing person.
You never had a lawyer? They never contacted your family?
No, still I am missing. All these things were being done in the cell. So they opened the door of my cell and threw something on my body, and I felt it's a human being. And I was feeling a noise of cry, but it was so low, hardly to realize it who he is, because I was thinking he's a man. But when they took off my blindfold, I saw it's a very thin lady trembling and crying, so weak. Then when officer told me that you are not a child, that we shall tell you what to do with her. She was praying in Balochi language. She was asking that Allah shall protect Murad Jan. Murad is a name. So after that I took courage and asked her that you are a Baloch. She did not reply. I said to her that I am a Baloch, I can sacrifice myself but will not do any harm to you. She said that she was a school teacher. They accuse her that her husband was with Baloch Liberation Army, and they accuse herself as a spy for BLA. Then they a little bit heard or saw us that they are chatting, or they saw us that we are doing nothing. So they came again with cries and started kicking us and putting our clothes off by force, and then they tried to force me brutally to abuse her.
That was Munir Mengel, and he told me that as punishment for refusing to abuse that woman, he was cut with knives until he passed out. And his case eventually did make it to a court in Quetta more than a year after he was first imprisoned, and the judge threw it out. He said there was no evidence of any wrongdoing against him, and Munir later moved to France.
Now that case, Rebecca, happened under the previous government of General Musharraf, but Human Rights Watch seems to be saying that this is still continuing under the current civilian government.
Yeah, and the authorities are very reluctant to speak about it. When questioned about the violence, they're keen to blame infighting between various militant groups, and there probably is some of that does go on, but the report by Human Rights Watch is based on more than 100 interviews with former detainees and their families, lawyers and so on, that point the finger at the police, the military and the secret services, the ISI. And by chance, Pakistan's Interior Minister Rahman Malik was in London today, and I managed to put that to him. I asked him if there was a dirty war in Balochistan.
Well, let me tell you, Rebecca, there is no dirty war by the government of Pakistan. Yes, the dirty war is there from the insurgents. And those people who are claiming to the fact a wrongdoing or wrong references of the government of Pakistan, they are absolutely liars. What is happening? Those people who are trained by these insurgents.
When you say insurgents, who are you talking about? I'm
talking about some of this BLFA.
The Baloch Liberation Front?
Liberation Front. Of course, this is, there's so many emerged, you know. They're the one who are creating the situation. There is no dumping of dead bodies. There are no deaths like that. In fact, these insurgents kill their own fellow people who do not comply with their instructions.
When you came into office back in 2008, I think you were on the record as saying that around 1,000 people had been disappeared in Balochistan, and that there were allegations at that point of the previous government. Now there are allegations that this is still going on.
It is the other way around.
The police are torturing people.
We said in the whole country, we reported the missing persons. Now, by process of elimination, when the allegation of 6,000 missing people came, and by process of elimination, we got about 938. And half of them were being examined by the Supreme Court of Pakistan, the rest we took. And now, I'm happy to report you, only 34 people missing from Balochistan on record.
Where are they?
We are searching them. 34 people are missing. And out of that, what we found when about 150 were left, and most of them had gone to Dubai, some were in Saudi Arabia, and they were still reported to be missing. You're most welcome to examine the record. This is all propaganda against those who are supporting the so-called liberation movements in Balochistan.
That's Pakistan's Interior Minister Rahman Malik. And he was talking there, Rebecca, of the insurgents and the Baloch Liberation Army causing the trouble. Is there truth to that?
Well, there is a separatist military insurgency underway, and I know it gets confusing because of the various Taliban groups and so on, but the Baloch separatists are quite different to them. They're not motivated by religious ideology. For them, it's all about autonomy. And don't forget, Balochistan is mineral rich. It has oil and gas reserves, some gold, a deep water port, and of course it borders Iran and Afghanistan, so it is important to the central government in Islamabad, but the Baloch leaders view it as a separate country with a separate, proud culture. And as you said, NewsHour has been investigating this issue for some time, and a while ago we managed to get through to the commander of the Baloch Liberation Army, Dr. Ala Nizar, by telephone for a pretty rare interview. NewsHour's Owen Bennett-Jones spoke to him and began by asking him how many men he had under his command.
Thousands. More than 3,000 militants, they are under our command, and we all believe in international law and we honor the international principles.
What sort of weaponry do your 3,000 fighters have?
We have the all small weapons, we have Kalashnikovs, we have LMG and rocket-propelled grenades. But our enemy, Pakistan, is getting arms and ammunition from USA and her allies. But the Pakistani army is using this aid against innocent and peace-loving Baloch people.
What kind of military operations do you conduct?
We are guerrilla fighters. Guerrilla is an irregular army. We do ambush on communication lines. We try to take on the military cantonments. It is the routine of the guerrillas in the world.
What is your attitude to the Taliban?
We are also Muslims, but we believe tolerated toward others. We are secular and we are peace-loving, but we also honor the other religious peoples. Our movement is clearly national movement.
You say there are differences between you and the Taliban. Do you condemn the Taliban?
Yes, worldly I condemn the Taliban's activities, and they are killing the innocent people in the name of religion, so I condemn it worldly.
And Al-Qaeda?
Also.
You say you're fighting for Baloch liberation. Of course, many in Pakistan believe you are unpatriotic, treacherous insurgents.
Yes, it is. Yes. And anywhere else in the world, when the liberation movement starts, when the people raise voice for their freedom, then the occupiers say them that they are traitors. But for our nation, we are the freedom fighters. Now it is up to the world how they decide what is the meaning of freedom fighter and what's the meaning of traitor.
That was Dr. Ala Nizar there, the commander of the Baloch Liberation Army, speaking to Owen Bennett-Jones.
And it's interesting to hear him talk there about the Taliban, about Al-Qaeda condemning them. You get the feeling rather that Balochistan is the forgotten conflict of Pakistan.
Well, that is what the separatists would say, and they're also quick to point out that while the central government enjoys billions, well, certainly recently has enjoyed billions of dollars of military aid from the United States, that military hardware is being used against them, which they think the Americans should be worried about.
That's Rebecca Kesby reporting for us there on allegations of Pakistani security forces abusing political activists in Balochistan. You're listening to NewsHour from the BBC World Service.